Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Akwath that may listen. May the blessing of election be over your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another lesson. And for today's lesson, it's going to be a bit more of a in the news, an article that I came across, and I just wanted to share it with you few brothers and few sisters that may listen, and Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, this video is edifying. So the topic is BLM, which is stands for Black Lives Matter. That um, rundown charity organization. Mishandling of funds, and other topics. So without further ado, let's jump right into the article. Okay, so this is on the Daily Mail news. Black Lives Matter is headed for insolvency after plunging 8.5 mil into the red, but founder Patrice Cullors and brother was still paid 1.6 mil for security services in 2022, while sister of board member earned 1.1 mil for quote unquote consulting. Right, so I'm just going to go into a bit of the article and interject, and then I'll throw some precepts in. Okay, so let's see where this begins. Okay, so BLM's national organization is at risk of going bankrupt after finances plunged 8.5 million into the red last year, while simultaneously handling multiple staff seven-figure salaries. Wow. Financial disclosures obtained by the Washington Free Beacon show the perilous state of BLM's Global Network Foundation, which officially emerged in November 2020 as a more formal way of constructing civil rights movement. Yet, despite the financial controversy and scrutiny, BLM, GNF continue to hire relatives of the founder, Patrice Cullors, and several board members. So, her brother set up two companies which were paid 1.6 mil, providing professional security services for BLM in 2022. So this is a picture of that demon, as well as him, the brother. This is a picture of the mansion. I'm not sure what this mansion is used for. Right, so hang on, let me see what pictures they have here. Okay, so get the idea. Let's continue. So Paul Cullors, also one of BLM's only two paid employees, during the year, collecting a $126,000 salary as head of security and top of his consulting fees. He is best known as a graffiti artist with no background in security. Patrice Cullors defended hiring, saying registered security firms which are hired by former police officers could not be trusted, given the movement's opposition to police brutality. Okay, so let's scroll down and see where it gets very interesting. So, all right, let's continue reading. So this woman here, who runs a consultancy firm, hired so Danielle Edwards' firm, New Impact Partners, was paid $1.5 million for consulting services in 2022, the Free Beacon said, and also agreed to pay an additional $600,000 to an additional former board member consulting firm in connection with a contract dispute. Below here, the group logged a $961,000 loss in security sale and 172,000, suggesting the group sustained an 85% loss of the transaction. Further details of security have not been shared. Cash flowing into BLM's coffers have dropped dramatically. Donations plunged by 88% between 2021 and 2022, from 77 million to just 9.3 million. Right. So, it's very interesting because I guess people are now catching on to the BS that this so-called um, you know, upright charity is doing. Is a mismanagement of a lot of funds. But you have a bunch of our people that love to jump behind this and support this, right? So let's get a quick scripture, before I continue. Okay, so this is Jeremiah 4, verse 22, and it reads, For my people is foolish, they have not known me, they are sottish children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. So, our people are very, very wise to do all this folly, right? And it's really sad to see, but it's also evident that our people are completely gone and wicked, right? Because you actually have Israelites who are running this organization and they're taking advantage of of the people, of their own people, right? Below here, it says a Toronto property was bought with grant money that was meant for, quote unquote, activities to educate and support, so-called Black communities, and purchase and renovate properties for charitable use, right? And it emerged that Colors transferred millions from the organization to the charity run by her wife, Janaya Khan, and purchased the property. So, just a lot of folly and mismanagement of funds, and a lot of our people, intently and they wholly believe, they wholly, not holy, but WHOLLY, believe in their mind that this is what's gonna ease their pain and cause them to become you know become more into that righteous stead is what they're looking to get, right? But they're not gonna get it through avenues such as BLM, right? Because all this is just folly and nonsense, right? And as a matter of fact, there's a scripture it's coming out to my mind right now. Some people love to do this, get into all these different activities rather than actually coming back to the Lord. Um, so this is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1, and it reads, Woe unto the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, right? So they're taking advantage of our people, through these different methods, right? That they walk down to Egypt and have not asked of my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength, to strengthen themselves. Slaki, let me read that again. That they walked down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, right? So they didn't inquire of the Lord, first, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and trust in the shadow of Egypt, right? So that what they're doing, a lot of us Israelites, our people, are trusting in the infrastructure of these different organizations to actually bring them closure, to ease their pain, of the so-called, black on black crime and all these, not the black on black, well, that as well, but the so-called, the all the police brutality essentially, right? But our people are too hard-headed, because if they understood and they came back to the Lord, you wouldn't be having these sorts of interactions in the first place, right? So that's why the scripture was saying they cover with a covering, but not of the Most High Yahweh Bashim Shai's spirit, right? So this is why a lot of people get into these dicey, sticky situations, because they don't conduct themselves with wisdom, right? They rather conduct themselves as brutish, uncultured children, rebellious children, right? So down here, I was going to read this last bit, and I'm going to get some more scripts. So Cullors admitted to the AP that her group was ill-equipped to handle the finances of the charity, which received $19 million a year after George Floyd was killed. And this is also very interesting too, because this just goes to show that money really isn't the the be all and end all, for solving our problems, right? Um, like the scriptures say, money is a defense, but the love of money is the root of all evil, right? So you have the most important thing that our people need to understand is coming back to the Lord, and it's not about uh, 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 having all this amount of money because they really think that's going to help them. Um, this is Proverbs 4:7, and it reads, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all that getting, get understanding." Right? So this is the thing that they have to seek first. They're not supposed to seek, in the shadow of Egypt, and what they need to do is to build a relationship with Yahweh Bashim Shai, but not many of them are going to do that. Only elect are actually going to do that and seek the Most High's face, his ways, his understanding, and so on and so forth. Right? So Cullors issued a statement denying she used 6.5 million LA property for personal purposes, but then had a backtrack to admit that she used the compound for purposes that were not strictly business, right? So she's very double-minded, right? So that's kind of about it, really. I can attach the link of this in the description, because it just goes to show that money is just not a people's problem, because the people are still suffering from the wounds of whether it be slavery, family issues, captivity, and so on and so forth. All these different things that our people went through, but our people don't want to come back to the Lord. They're just very stubborn. So this is Isaiah chapter 1 verse 3, and it reads, "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know, our people have not considered." I'm just going to jump down to verse 5. Actually, I'll read verse 4 as well, because that kind of adds to the point as well. A sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children are corrupters, they have forsaken the Lord, right? So these are examples of people who have forsaken the Lord and his ways. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger, and they have gone away backward. Verse 5. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revert more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head, there is no soundness in it. So there's no constitution. Um, there's no breath in it. They're just dry bones. They're just degenerate plants. They don't have the understanding of, okay, this is how you need to be as an Israelite man and an Israelite woman, right? There's no understanding there, right? They're just going off of what's in their heart, and they think that having all this money is actually going to help them and save them and actually be that ointment, like it says lower down here. I believe, is it down here? Right? They treat, so essentially they treat money as the physician, right? So verse 6, I'm just going to reread this again. From the sole of the foot even down to the head, there is no soundness in it. But on wounds and bruises and putrefying sores, they have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Right? So the only one who can do that is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So what I want to do is hit a couple more precepts, because there's a couple more points about BLM I wanted to hit as well. So one of the first points I wanted to hit is this in the aspect of these wicked leaders, right? And them our people being led astray, because our people don't, because the scripture was very, very clean and clear about our people being dumber than two animals, right? Right. So let's see. Let's get John the 10th chapter. I believe it starts at 11. Okay, I want to start at 11. So this is John chapter 10, verse 11. And then Yahushua speaking, he said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. So let's get the definition of what a hireling is. Because the people that we just read about, in this story are examples of hirelings. Okay, so one who works for hire, let's see, one who acts only for mercenary motives. Let's see down here, pay for a service. So this is what all these people are doing. They're just being paid a service, right? They generally do not care about you Israelites. And you Israelites have to understand that these people don't care about you. The only people the only people that really truly care is the prophets, starting with our apostles and elders on down, with the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem El Shai. They are the only ones who genuinely care, right? But our people are so enchanted and thinking that they will get some sort of reward from these people, but their people are just using you. You're giving all these donations, and what do? They don't give you any bread. They don't give you any understanding, or actually try to inform you and cultivate you in the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? They cultivate you in the ways of Satan, right? And the ways of this world that makes you uncultured and that makes you a degenerate, right? What else is another point? Oh, did I finish reading that script? 1 second. Okay. I'm just going to reread verse 13 again. And the hireling fleeth because he is an hireling and careth not for the sheep, right? So, they're an example of a hireling, somebody who's just there for the money, right? They don't genuinely care about you Israelites, right? And you Israelites are the sheep, because these are all different devices that are trying to keep you away from the Lord, right? So, another point I also wanted to bring out real quickly is about this George Floyd character, right? Because he is kind of like that shining example of somebody who's righteous of some sort, within the so-called black culture and community and so on and so forth. I forgot where it is, the city that he died. But essentially, and I encourage you brothers to look this up as well, because this character named George Floyd actually was a criminal. Okay, so about, I would say about 15 years ago, because he has a long rap sheet and a lot of run-ins with the police. So about 15 years ago, this man, he was charged for a crime where he posed as a worker from the city. I believe it was Texas or the state. I'm not sure. One of the two. And essentially, what he did was he tried to break into a woman's house, and he pointed a gun at a pregnant lady's stomach, and that is something the media does not talk about and will never ever talk about. But they paint him as somebody who was, righteous, someone who was is this somebody who was there, somebody who was like a good pillar for the people. But he was not. He was a criminal. But our people love to defend this sort of kind of degenerate behavior, right? So, anyways, the last point I want to make is hang on. This is an example of this sort of behavior. Not to make this lesson too long, but just bear with me. Okay, so this is Luke chapter 23, verse. I'm gonna start at 4, and it reads, Pilate turned. I want to read it in the NLT, and it says, Pilate turned to the leading priests and the crowd, and said, I find nothing wrong with this man. But then they insisted. Salakia. Then they became insistent, but he is causing riots by teaching wherever he goes, all over Judea, from Galilee to Jerusalem. Right? So I'm just going to scroll down as well. Okay, so verse 13, and it reads, Then Pilate called together the leading priests and the religious leaders along with the people, and he announced his verdict. You have brought me this man to me, accusing him of leading a revolt. I have examined him thoroughly to this point in your presence and find him innocent. The point, Herod came to the same conclusion and sent him back to us. Nothing this man has done calls for the death penalty, so I will have him flogged and I will release him. But then the crowd mighty roar rose. Oh, rose from the crowd. With the voice they shouted, Kill him and release us Barabbas. And verse 19, and here's the point. Barabbas was in prison for taking part in an insurrection in Jerusalem against the government for murder. Right? So this is what I wanted to bring out, because our people even back then had that spirit of actually protecting somebody who was a wicked person, right? Who wasn't even who should be put to death. However, our people were in that spirit of protecting somebody like that and wanted to condemn somebody like Yahweh Shai, who was actually being righteous and actually exemplifying those fruits of the Spirit and exemplifying mercy and so on and so forth. So, just to show the parallels, because, that which is then is now, and there's no new thing under the sun, right? So, anyways, I know I went a little too long, but, hopefully this video was edifying. And what I can do is just link the rest of this article in the description. But that's about it. Hopefully you got something out of this. And I just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth, Till next time, I say Shalom.